Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 119 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother from the same mother, Lester Jones.
Hello, everybody.
And, of course, we got also joining us today. Let's go with this one. The Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, looking for a few good PPs for a few good DPs. The tag teaming, double creaming. You take the front, he'll take the back. You'll be dancing all night, sack to sack. The phenomenal AJC.
All of that is false advertising.
Except the sack to sack.
Yeah, that part's true. Well, guys, this is another one of those shows where we don't have time for any small talk. Why? Because we just got out of the theater watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And it was quite good. But we'll get into all of that. So anyone who hasn't watched any of our reviews, we're going to do kind of a overall spoiler-free general review. And then we'll do a more detailed plot breakdown and all that with all the good spoilery goodness. But just for the kind of overall, surface level review, let's go to the old Rotten Tomatoes, and we'll start with the plot synopsis. In Marvel Studios' Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia and Everett Ross and forge a new path for the Kingdom of Wakanda. The movie was directed by Ryan Coogler, stars Leticia Wright as Shuri, Angela Bassett as Ramonda, Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, Tenoch Huerta, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, as Namor, Danai Gurira as Okoye, and Winston Duke as M'Baku. All right, guys. Yeah, what did you guys feel overall? Lester, I'll start with you.
I was bored as fuck.
What? Really?
Yeah, I fell asleep.
You seriously fell asleep?
I fell asleep.
What the fuck? I like this
Shit was
movie.
boring and predictable, man.
Predictable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know
I
what?
had no idea where it was going.
I'm glad you feel this way because I thought it was just going to be a straight across the board. Everybody liked it. This surprises me, but yeah, we'll get into it. AJ, what do you think?
I liked it. There was a lot of talking in the middle. I know you can get overloaded with action, but I thought they could have spruced in a little bit of action in between.
That's maybe a valid criticism. There are some chunks of this movie where, yeah, the action was sparse, but I thought it was well written, and I actually liked the dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, it dealt a lot with, loss, and, there's a lot of loss in this movie, so it was pretty heavy in that sense.
As far as the, predictability thing, I at least thought it was more nuanced than a lot of movies, and we'll get into it, but I thought Namor at least wasn't, a mustache twirling villain in the way that a lot of villains are. Right. I thought he was a little more layered, which I appreciate. I don't know. I think it was smarter than you're giving it credit for, but maybe you slept through the good parts. I'll also say, performance-wise, I thought everyone was good, but this was a delicate movie to make for them to have to kind of incorporate Chadwick Boseman's death into it, and I thought they did a really good job of that. And Angela Bassett, who plays the Queen, and his mom, I thought she was fucking great.
Yeah, she was strong.
She had some scenes that were, I'm like, God damn, she's really, really good.
Yeah.
But really, I thought everyone pulled their weight, and Leticia Wright had to kind of take center stage, and I thought she did a good job. Really, across the board, I thought everyone was pretty damn strong here. So yeah, I don't know how much more you guys want to get into before we get into really strong spoilers.
I think we better go because this is going to take way too long.
Okay. Well, let's get into it. So yeah, everyone, from this point on, spoiler territory. But let's be honest, that's probably why you came here. That's the fun part. So yeah, I'm going to need your guys' help because it is a long and very dense movie. Actually, let me check the runtime. 2 hours 41 minutes. So it was a beast, but it was good. Okay, so we start the movie off right away. We're kind of told, off screen that T'Challa is basically on life support. He fell to some sort of illness. They never mention it. But Shuri's kind of desperately trying to save his life. She's in her lab. She's like, we can see like they kind of have a visual of his DNA, and she keeps like trying these different like combinations. We don't know exactly what she's doing.
Was it DNA? I mean, it was just like some abstract thing where she was like moving balls around. And it came up a lot of times in the movie.
Well, I think it is because there's a scene later on in the movie where she asked the computer to bring up his DNA, and it brings up that same thing of the white balls and the double helix
It
formation.
didn't look like a helix to me. It just looked like a blob of balls.
In that beginning scene, I don't think it shows it quite as well, but in that later scene, it does, and it's definitely like a double helix. Anyway, she's like running these different simulations. And she's like, "What are the chances, computer, like this will work or whatever?" And it's like a really low percentage, for like 20-some%. She does it a little differently, and it goes up a little bit, but still, it's a very low percentage. She's like, "Fuck it, like print it." And so, basically, it's what she's trying to do. We find out is recreate the heart-shaped flower from the first movie that gives Black Panther his strength and his power. Of course. In the first movie, Killmonger burnt all those flowers, so that's why he's basically T'Challa's in the shape that he's in.
So would that be the DNA of the flower then?
God, you're overanalyzing already.
I do have one thing. Like, I thought at the end of the first movie, T'Challa took the heart-shaped herb to come back to life. Like, why would he need it again?
Because it gave him cancer.
I mean...
No, we don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't really know. I don't think the heart-shaped flower, like, once you take it, makes you invulnerable to, like, disease and sickness.
Yeah.
So, like, but the thought is that, like, if he did get sick, that maybe it would have some sort of restorable properties if he took it again. I think that's what they're going for. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, they kind of have to write around his death, which is tricky. But I think overall they did a pretty good job here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she's telling the computer to 3D print the flower. It's working on it, but then basically Queen Ramonda, Angela Bassett, comes and like she finds out it's too late. Like he flatlined and he's gone. I will say like this movie very much is both a kind of a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and like so it is pretty sad in moments of this movie for sure. Like it's a heavy movie at times. But they go to the I can't remember if they do this right now or a little bit later, but basically the whole Marvel opening credits is a dedication to Chadwick Boseman. Like,
it's like a moment of silence. Yeah. Which I thought was really tastefully done. And so now we go. They're having the funeral for T'Challa, and basically they all dress in white. You can see this in the trailers. And the Dora Milaje carry his casket down the city streets where everybody's in the white clothing. And then they bring him to like a resting spot. And I thought this was like weird.
Kind of weird, but kind of cool too. Is like their spaceships that they have, like basically kind of have the UFO like abducting people technology.
Yeah, the little tractor beam.
Yeah. What I didn't like about it is like you have this whole like ritualistic ceremony. You're like, oh, this is like centuries old or something. And well, first it looks like the casket weighs like 20 pounds, and everyone's just like they lift it like it's nothing. And then they go through this whole ritual and march him down the streets, and they do all this, and then he gets beamed up into a UFO, and you're like, what the hell was that? I don't know. I just thought it felt weird.
Well, I mean, Wakandan's identity is kind of wrapped around vibranium and like their technology. So I think
their whole thing is kind of a blend of the old ways and the blend of the new ways. Like you were talking to me the other day, like why does it make logical sense that they all like fight with spears? Like they could probably make vibranium guns or something. It's like okay, they probably could, but like the thing that gives Wakanda its identity is kind of that, I guess, mixture of culture and technology. So
accept it, move on.
kind of. But this scene was like effective, and it was and so after that, we flash forward to 1 year later. So now there's a UN meeting. And so if you remember, like, at the end of the original Black Panther, like, Wakanda basically decided that maybe it's time that they share their technology with the world. In this meeting, though, basically, like, there's, like, a guy that represents the United States. There's a woman that represents France. And they're basically like, where's the sharing? You guys, we thought you guys were going to kind of be more sharing with your vibranium and your resources and everything. And like Angela Bassett has like this speech where she's like talking about how we hear what you guys are whispering. The king is dead. You think we're vulnerable, and so they kind of intermix like her talking in with this scene that's happening at the same time, where there's like a Wakandan facility that's being infiltrated by, this is interesting. It's infiltrated by these guys with guns, these soldiers, but they never identify them really. Like, I was like wondering, like, are these Americans?
I think they were French because at the end she speaks French to them and they all kneel.
Oh, okay.
And she like talks to the French lady, like
Oh, interesting. Okay, but she basically says like. We didn't keep vibranium from you guys because of like its potential for destruction. We kept it from you because of your potential for destruction. Basically calling out the U.S. and other countries, which I thought was another interesting thing. But basically, these guys, think they're going to easily overrun this facility. But no, we find out it's being protected by the Dora Milaje, and they like easily like beat the shit out of these guys. And then we find out, well, I guess this must have happened a little early before this because now they already have these guys, tied up and they bring them into the UN room or whatever.
Yeah, and they like, I guess, hand them over and they're just like, think of this as like our peace offering or whatever, like, us saying, okay, you did this once, but we'll forgive it, but never again.
Right. Yeah, she basically, you're right. She kind of threatens, like, if something like this happens again, like, we won't be so nice.
Right.
I'm probably skipping over some stuff, but basically back in Wakanda, like, Queen Ramonda comes up to Shuri and she's like, I want you to go with me and, like, take off your... she has, like, these technological beads that come back into place and also some earrings, they can like track her location and stuff. So they go and basically they're hanging out by this like lake and there's like elephants there. And Ramonda is trying to get, it's the 1 year basically anniversary of T'Challa's death. And so Ramonda takes her white clothes from the funeral ceremony and burns them. And I guess that's a tradition of like, okay, it's the morning's over. It's time to like, symbolically let go of your grief. But at that point, Shuri can't really do it. And she's like, you can tell like she's very still like angry and upset of just the way, both her brother's death and just kind of the way of the world. I'm realizing I did leave out a very big scene. Okay, so before this happened, out in the ocean, there's like a, I think, U.S. ship.
Oh, okay. So this happens after that scene with Queen Ramonda warning them not to come back to Wakanda.
I think so.
So they start like looking in other places for vibranium.
Okay. So yeah, there's this ship out in the ocean, and basically, they located some vibranium on the ocean floor, and they got this device there that'll come into play that's basically able to detect the vibranium, which is apparently very hard, and there's no other machine like it. So they have these people they put in pressurized suits, and they put them down there. But when they get to the bottom, basically, they have some lights down there, but they like go off and they're like, uh-oh. So like they were like, oh, okay, we'll get those back online. But like we see, there's definitely like something going on, right? There's like, something zooms by and one of the guys in the pressurized suits is like, what was that, And then we see like there's this giant like jellyfish.
Yeah, and why? But yes, there's a big like rare jellyfish.
Right, and I don't know if the jellyfish is what kills those guys. I think it is.
I just figured it was like
maybe
those people.
It could be them too, yeah. But anyway, like the people in the suits go flatline, and so like, now the woman on the boat here, I forget her name. She's like an actress.
Lake Bell. Yeah.
Lake Bell. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I should know her name.
Yeah, I've seen her in like comedies mostly.
Yeah. This was really the only scene she was used. I thought maybe they were she was gonna play a bigger part, but no, it was just like this scene. So like her and like kind of the other like captain of these guys is like kind of in the control room of the ship. And then, like, this noise comes about. It's almost like a siren song, right, yeah. And it starts like making the guys jump off the ship. And so, like, Lake Bell's character realizes right away, like, oh, we got to put earplugs in our ears because this is like hypnotizing these guys or whatever. So her and the captain guy go out, and like they're about to like. Well, first of all, the one guy like shoots the gun, which wakes up the last guy that was about to jump off the boat. But then like he's instantly, I think, like speared by like one of the bad guys.
Yeah, somebody comes up on deck and kills him.
So now like these, I guess they're not Atlanteans. God, what's the name of their place? It was like
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know.
Telecon or something.
I'm not sure.
I would have to watch the movie again before I remember the name of that place. But it's like Telecon. Telecon or something like that. Anyway, they come on the boat. Now, this is something I thought was a little weird in this scene, is like they shoot guns at them and they basically at first like have no effect. So I'm like, are these guys bulletproof or?
Well, at first the one big guy comes up and they shoot at him multiple times and it doesn't seem to do anything. I was like, well, I guess, impervious to bullets.
Right, that's what I thought at first. But then so they kill the captain guy. Lake Bell's character runs off, but then she starts shooting other people, and they seem to not be impervious to bullets, so they're very much getting shot.
Well, they get shot, but I didn't see any bodies later. I think they got back up later.
Yeah, I didn't know if they died or if they got back up. I wasn't quite sure, but they at least were getting hurt.
Yeah.
Lake Bell tries to escape on a helicopter, and they almost get away, but then they're stopped, and they're thrown. Helicopter is thrown into the sea by a shadowy figure that, of course, we know is Namor. But right at this moment, they keep him in shadows. Okay, so now we fast forward back to the scene I was originally talking about. So yeah, Shuri isn't quite ready to burn her funeral thing, but right at that moment, they're interrupted by Namor, who comes out of their little lake there, and now we kind of see him. Now, what did you guys think about the winged feet thing?
Yeah, I wasn't sure at first what to think of that. I was like, that's a design flaw. That could easily get taken care of.
I mean, it is a thing from the comics. Okay, but it looks silly, and I'm kind of biologically, why would he have those?
Yeah.
At first I thought it was technology driven, but later it shows that it's not.
No, it's definitely biological. I mean, it gives him like fast movement and stuff, but like logically, like how would small wings like that like hold up his body?
Right.
Yeah.
So like a part of me thinks like they should have just made him somehow have the ability to fly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a choice. It was a choice. I don't know how I feel about it, but whatever. Now, okay, this is a little bit of a logic thing to me, or maybe I missed something. But basically, he tells them that there's vibranium in the ocean, and I think at first like they don't believe him because everything they know tells them that all vibranium is in Wakanda.
Right.
But he says that there's a device they made that can detect vibranium. It's the only one, and like it was made by this one scientist. So he's like, we can't have the world knowing about us and the vibranium or something like that. So he's like, you bring this scientist to us. I'll give you this conch shell you can blow or something, and I'll bring
the magic conch.
Yeah, the magic conch. Now this is the thing I don't. So we find out in a bit that Riri Williams. This is how they get her in the story. She's the one that created this device, but it's like the government has possession of it. Do you think their scientists haven't already gone through and learned to replicate it? Are we to believe they can't? And if they couldn't, why wouldn't they have just paid her like $1 billion to teach them how?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's the part where the logic falls apart a little bit.
Well, another thing, like if they figure out they apparently know who she is, and like with later scenes, it seems pretty obvious they could have just went and killed her themselves pretty easily.
Well, that they kind of explain though, because he wants his people to remain hidden.
Yeah.
And so if they just went and got her, the cat would be out of the bag. So they want the Wakandans to act as, get her for them.
Well, they don't do a great job of that later either.
Yeah, they kind of reveal themselves anyway, which we'll get to. But, so, I mean, I guess it covers their tracks as far as like, not wanting the world to know they exist. But as far as like why they think killing Riri would rid them of the technology of finding vibranium, I don't know, because there's no way the U.S. didn't already like replicate that technology.
Oh yeah, but yeah, allegedly it's her technology, so.
And it's like the only one or whatever. So now I believe there's a conversation in like the throne room of Wakanda where they're like weighing their options. And they decide that they're going to basically go get the girl. I think they debate for a second, like, would it be worthwhile, like, actually giving her over to him? But I think ultimately, actually, do you guys remember?
Yeah, there was some debate about it because somebody was on one side where they're like, let's just give her to them.
Yeah, like some of the other elders or whatever. But anyway, Ramana tasked Okoye with going and retrieving the girl, and Okoye asked to bring Shuri along. Ramonda's against it at first, but like Okoye talked her into it and says like, this will be good for her, So now we shift over to MIT, where Riri Williams goes to school.
Oh, actually, I think maybe it did explain that thing earlier because they had like her machine for detecting it, but they didn't think it would work. Like it was unproven technology or something.
Oh, so you think they wrote it in as though that was like the first time they turned it on or something like that?
They said something like they thought it was like a 1 in a million chance it would work or something.
Okay, so maybe they covered their tracks better than we thought.
And then they went to the one place on Earth where it worked perfectly.
Well, it detected it.
It detected it, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess if that was the test run, you could say, well, they didn't know if it was going to work and actually detect it until they turned it on.
I had issues with the fact that at the beginning of the movie, they already found the vibranium Like, I was surprised the U.S. didn't just keep going back to that land.
Yeah, just double down.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Kill
now
the
we know
natives. You know where it is.
Yeah, we know where it is. Like, go back for it at some point. No for an answer.
Yeah, that's true. No matter what happens, like, they know where that ship was destroyed, so they know where that vibranium is, and there's no way they're not going to go at least back to that spot and take that vibranium. So yeah, it doesn't. There's some of this stuff that I don't know if it totally makes sense, but
So I guess that like it didn't really show the city there, but it must have been close to their city, right?
I mean, for them to know about the ship taking their vibranium.
well, there's a degree of like, because even he was like, oh, blow on that magical conch, and I'll be here swiftly or whatever, and it's like. Can he, like, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. One day they're in the United States, and then they hop on their orcas, and like a day later they're in Africa, and you're like, I don't think orcas can swim that fast. I mean, they're good swimmers. They're solid swimmers.
You get the sense that, like, these guys, they just own the ocean, and they can traverse it in no time flat, which doesn't really make sense, but you kind of just got to, like...
Well, she said when he was fighting, when she was trying to shoot him with the ship, and he was in the water at one point, she said that he was too fast for him to hit in the water. So I guess they're faster in water than they are on land.
Yeah, it's weird too because like he's like not the same species as them apparently, so he's fast.
Mm-hmm. When we get to his origin, I have a question about that.
I have no answers.
There were some hints.
So yeah, Shuri confronts Riri and like. She knows who Shuri is, like the princess of Wakanda or whatever, and Shuri tells her that like she's in danger or whatever, and like she's like, okay, I just got to go to the bathroom or whatever, and like she was planning on escaping there, but Okoye like was there to rope her back, so like she doesn't like want to go with them at first, but they're like. And then I think Shuri has a line where she's like, well, okay, we can just leave her here where this like merman's going to come murder you or whatever, or you can come with us, you know. So she goes with them, but they make a stop at this like garage, I guess, that Riri like built her shit out of.
Yeah, apparently she's got a nice workspace.
Now, did they mention like why they decided to go there? Was Riri like, did she want her plans or something that she had there?
Maybe. She definitely had like plans and like computers and stuff there, so maybe.
But basically they go there, and not too soon after we find out that they were followed by like the U.S. government, so they're like surrounded by the FBI or whoever they are. So like Riri has a like old like muscle car there that she said used to belong to her stepdad who passed away. They used to work on cars together. There's also a motorcycle there, and Riri made like a very crude Iron Man type suit.
Yeah, pretty much. Redux of Iron Man stuff.
Right. So they escape out of this thing. Okoye takes the car. Now, was originally like, because Shuri got into the car for a minute, and I think like Okoye, like for her protection, wanted her in the car, but then she like ran out and got on the motorcycle or something.
Well, I thought they were all going to take the car, and then they all split up and went different directions.
But yeah, Okoye takes the car, Shuri takes the motorcycle, and of course Riri takes the Ironheart suit and flies away. So yeah, now we get this sequence where the FBI are chasing them. I thought this. Okay, I got a question for you guys. So like, they're spears, they're vibranium spears, which first of all, like reticulate, so like she can hold it like a small thing in her hand and then just like, expand it outward. Now, so I don't. Okoye's in the car. She takes her spear and actually punctures it through the bottom of the car
to the ground.
Yes,
and then she drives in reverse.
Yeah, to get like the cop car behind her.
I was like, that spear. First of all, it's vibranium, so it should be messing up the ground. But it should also be like it should be pushing backwards, like out of the car.
But my question about vibranium is: does this just like cut through metal like butter, or is Okoye like unnaturally strong? Because for her to just like poke it through the bottom of the car is insane.
Well, I think it is like butter, but I also think like for her to hold it there while it was grinding against the ground the whole time, that took extra strength.
That was ridiculous.
Just so a cop car could do that like little flip off.
Yeah,
right.
It was bad. Yeah,
it was weird. I mean, it makes for like an action scene, but I
it's
don't
like
know.
she really planned that one out. She's practiced that one a few times.
Yeah, it does seem like some of the Wakandans have like superpowers, even though they don't. Like, there's a point later on where like what's his name from the Jabari tribe, the lead.
Oh,
M'Baku. Yeah, he throws somebody like 20 feet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They're definitely like. Really, only the Black Panther's supposed to have that kind of strength, but it seems that sometimes that everybody does.
Right.
That was the big guy.
Yeah.
He was a big ass dude though.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
But 20 feet.
So they detect a drone in the air that's spying on them. So they're like, "Oh, we got to get rid of that." So Riri goes after that, and like, there's this whole thing where like she has to go so high that her like oxygen's running out. So like she does shoot the drone down, but at the same time like loses her oxygen and starts falling. Eventually, like she comes to like right before she's about to die, you know. So now they get on this bridge, and like they think they're like in the clear, but then this like hook comes out of nowhere and like hooks onto Riri's suit and like drags her like down to the pavement, and we find out that that's like one of the. I don't even know what to call these guys.
Underwater people.
Did they have a good name? They're just like the blue water guy.
I mean, I assume they're like the Tenochlans or whatever their homeland is, Atlanteans, basically. But
Tenochers.
The Tenochers. So yeah, this Tenoch grabs her with the hook. So now, like, I'm trying to think. Doesn't at one point, is it like the cops try to stop them on the bridge and then like that drone falls down on them or something like that?
God, that would, I don't know. They're defeated.
I think they capture Shuri because she's like, I'm the princess of Wakanda. I demand to see your. You take me to your city, your leader, or whatever.
Right, but before that, like
they all get wrecked and crashed.
Yeah, they all. That's right. They like the car crashes. They all get crashed, and then Okoye like regains her consciousness first, and then the blue people show up, and she starts fighting with one of them. Well, some cops show up too. So like all but one of the blue people like go to like deal with the cops. Well, actually, I think Shuri takes out some of them with her spear, but then she like ends up fighting like the big guy of their group.
Oh, yeah, he's like the middle boss.
Yeah,
like he's a big guy.
He's the M'Baku of their tribe.
Right. He's had some heart shaped, or he's had a little bit.
Yeah, he's made strong stuff. So yeah, they start to fight, but really, like that dude's pretty much getting the upper hand, and eventually. And they use these throughout the movie. They have like these water grenades that like explode with a lot of power, but it was basically just like water.
Yeah, it's a grenade, but then there's like when they break, there's like a big bunch of water.
I mean, I guess there's no shrapnel because otherwise Okoye would be dead.
Yeah,
it just seems to like blast her out into the ocean or whatever.
Although water doesn't compress.
Yeah, a lot of their underwater stuff doesn't like. You know, it doesn't make normal sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So now
but that one guy has to stay moist, so he needs the water grenade.
So now they go to kill Riri, but Shuri steps in and she's like, basically, take me to Namor, like, at least let us have a discussion or whatever. Oh, now here's a question. So, at this first introduction of these two, Shuri uses her AI to create a translation program so she can understand them and vice versa or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But then for the rest of the movie, it seems like everybody just knows the other language, which I'm like...
Language is always an issue.
I'm like, it was smart to have the translation program, but then why for the rest of the movie does it seem like other people can just talk to these guys in their language?
Yeah, I mean, I get Shuri's supposed to be like really smart, so I figured like, okay, she catches on quickly to certain words maybe. But like the other people, they seem to be picking up on it too.
Yeah.
Like, well, normal intelligence, you don't pick up on a language.
It's like they didn't.
Well, that one mountain guy, he says something to him. He's like, "What? You didn't think we had books in the mountains?" So apparently they're studying the language.
It'll take me
of
years.
this newly discovered people who live underwater.
Yeah. Well, they speak like a Yucatan language, I guess. But I mean, still, it's 400, 500 years old. I don't think people are really speaking that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess maybe you could argue that it's like a form of like Spanish or whatever they. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying
There are
to.
a few language things also. Like, there's a point where Namor comes back to bury his mom, and this guy in Spanish says to him something about "you cannot be loved" or whatever, like you're a monster. And somehow Namor understands that and calls himself no more, no more, or whatever.
Yeah, the child without love.
Yeah. I was like, how do you understand that guy speaking Spanish? You never spoke Spanish. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, it's one of those things that's like you could maybe argue like maybe somebody in their tribe
Maybe, yeah.
knew it and taught it to them, but you kind of like got to make a leap like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is quite in sequence. Oh, you know what? I am remembering now a scene we left out where, and I forget exactly what led to it, but I think maybe before they went and saw Riri, they went and visited Agent Ross, who from the first movie.
Yeah, he's the one who led them to Riri.
Yes, okay. So we need to set that up. So now we go back to what I think is one of the more powerful scenes of the movie. We go back to the Wakandan throne room, and basically Queen Ramonda is mad at Okoye for losing Shuri and basically fires her. And like Okoye's like pleading with her, like, please, have I not give everything? Like, let me give my life or whatever to try to find her or whatever. And then Angela Bassett has that scene from like the first trailer where she like breaks down and she's like, I'm the queen and like my whole family is gone. Like, have I not given everything? And man, that scene and that performance I thought was like really good, like really powerful. Like Angela Bassett like fucking nailed it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's just a strong woman, You can get it from her performance.
Yeah, I thought that scene was like, whew, that was something.
Yeah.
So now we go to like the next day in the aftermath of that scene on the bridge. Agent Ross shows up, and also what's her name? DeFontaine or something?
Valerie
Val. DeFontaine.
I was like, what government employee has a purple streak in their hair? There's no way you could have a high-level government job and people would let you walk around like that.
That's how high she is. She don't give a fuck. Yeah. She's like, I'll color this streak in my hair if I want. But anyway, Ross finds the blue beads of Shuri's, and he like takes them from the crime scene. And you know what was weird is like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, her character DeFontaine or whatever, like kept like really aggressively hitting on Agent Ross.
Well, I think didn't they say they were like they used to be married?
No,
Her
I don't
ex?
think so. I don't think so.
Oh, I thought there was like a line in there where there was something about him being her ex or something. I might have.
If there was, I missed it, but yeah, like she keeps like aggressively hitting on him. Anyway, like she's like wants him to drive her back to headquarters, which is like 8 hours away or something. When he gets back, he uses the bracelet and he talks to Queen Ramonda and kind of tells her the situation or whatever. And I mean, I don't know. I can't remember like exactly the details of their conversation. But they both know Shuri was taken or whatever. So now it's going to be a rescue mission. So now, and guys, stop me if like you're remembering like something important, because I can't remember every beat of this movie. But Queen Ramonda goes to Haiti, and we find out that Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, is now like she's like a teacher there, right? Seems
yeah,
like it.
she's some sort of leadership position for children. Yeah.
Do they speak French in Haiti?
It sounded like it.
Yeah, because she was like bonjour to everybody. So basically, she tells Nakia what happened, and basically wants to employ her services to. Cause what is she? Is she like a? Did she used to be like a Wakandan spy? Is that what she was?
Yeah, she was a spy before.
Okay. So she gets her to find Shuri. They also have this conversation about how like she's like, why weren't you at the funeral? And she like says like she wasn't ready for that or something. Oh boy. So now I think we must go over to Shuri and Namor.
Yeah, I think so.
So like at first they're just like in this underwater cave, not to the main city, but in this underwater cave, and well, actually, she wakes up with Riri first, right? And in that cave, and they're like greeted by a person that wants her to put on like a ceremonial like clothing or something. So she does that, and then she meets with Namor. And I guess this must be where he tells of his origin, right?
Yeah, he does.
So apparently, like in the 1500s or something, his mother was pregnant with him, and like her tribe, their people were like being conquered by the Spanish conquistadors or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was a shaman of their tribe. He went underwater and he found this like herb. Now, I guess I thought it was going to be like the same herb as the one that turns them into Black Panther, but it seems like it has like a different quality to it.
I think it is in a sense the same herb. Like it has some of the same capabilities. Like I know what's her name? The Shuri uses that later on to like get the Black Panther powers out of that plant.
So maybe it's like related in some way.
It's related, I think.
It is weird, like the whole. That's one part of these movies that like I'm a little unclear on. It is like the flowers, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think she uses it to recreate the plant that she needs, but I don't think that's like the exact plant she needs, though. So she just uses part of its like makeup.
Okay. Anyway, the shaman like grinds down this herb and makes like a potion out of it, and he's trying to get like, I guess they were like a group of survivors that hadn't been like maybe conquered by the Spanish yet. Right. And he gets him to drink it. Now his mom, who's pregnant with him at the time, like at first she's hesitant because she like doesn't want it to have ill effects on him, or but eventually the shaman like convinces her to do it. So like they drink it and they all seemingly like die, but then they come back to life and their skin's all blue. And then they have this whole scene again from the trailer where like she gives underwater birth to him, and he's got like, the winged feet and everything. Now, maybe they said it and I missed it, but why are they all blue and he's not? I was unclear of that.
Maybe it's because he was born with it. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's what they're going for, is he was different because he was born. But then, like, did he never have kids? Like, I figured there'd be more like him, you know?
Yeah, that's true. The other people would have had kids. Like,
You'd think if he's hundreds of years old, at some point he would have reproduced.
yeah.
Unless he couldn't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, everybody in that tribe took the heart-shaped herb, right? Like, didn't they all, like, in the 1500s or whatever, like, take it together?
I think so.
Yeah, so I would have thought they'd be more like him. I don't know.
Also, I was a little confused because, like, on the bridge scene when they, like, we first really get a glimpse of these guys, they're all wearing, like, you know, things over their mouth. So I was like, well, can these guys, like, only breathe in water or something? But that's not the case. So I wasn't sure what the things over their mouth do.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I know it helped Shuri breathe in water later on, but...
Yeah, that's another thing is when they took her, they're like, okay, breathe this. And I was like, what is that doing to her?
Right.
There are things they don't really explain.
I guess their technology is like, it works both ways for people who want to breathe from land into water and from water into land.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure. Like, it doesn't give her the magic ability to breathe underwater.
Right.
But yeah, we get so then I guess like so him and his people like live underwater, but then when his mom grows old and dies, they go back to the mainland to bury her, and like basically the Spanish are still there. They've made everybody slaves. They're like whipping them. But then like him as a boy and like the other people basically it looks like conquer the Spanish, right?
Well, they just killed those particular
At least
people.
that particular group there. Yeah, so they kill all those guys and they bury the mother. And then like you were referencing, there's like this Spanish priest there, and he's like in Spanish or whatever, calls him something that equates to the child without love. And I don't know Spanish, but basically he takes the name Namor from that. But really, like, his people call him, like, Cool Kakan or something.
Yeah.
That's
basically their god, I think.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting to me, because, like, that priest or whatever, or that shaman in their tribe who, he was, like, given a message from the god, like, to go seek out the herb in the water. Like, he had gotten some sort of, vision or something, so he jumped in the water and seeks out the herb. And, like, you would think it's kind of, like, tied to Bast, because, like, Bast kind of had that relationship with the people in Wakanda, but they just give Namor the name of the god and just move on from there. They don't even reference that god later on, like they have a relationship with it or something.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that whole... Because in the comics, that is a whole thing about Bast, and, like... Do they mention him in the first Black Panther movie?
Yeah, Bast, yeah.
Do they? I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I watched the original. So I think now we go back to the present, and like Namor is going to show Shuri their main city, which again I can't quite remember the name of, Talokan, or it's something like that. So they put her in a pressurized suit, and they go down, and like eventually they create like this powerful like water tunnel that she gets sucked into.
Yeah.
That like brings her into the city. Did he create that, or is that just like are the streams that exist? I couldn't quite. I wasn't sure.
It looked like he was the one who made that.
I think he did. Yeah. So maybe that's how they travel so fast in the ocean or whatever.
He just opens up a jet stream.
Yeah, they can create those jet streams and really go. But yeah, she goes to this underwater city, and like, what did you guys think aesthetically of the city? Like, did you think it was cool or?
I thought it was cool, but it was far away. I wish I had seen some of the inside of the city, like,
That's true.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, actually, how they live.
Now, were you asleep at this point?
I was asleep through the stuff we just talked about.
Man, if I would have noticed you were asleep, I would have like elbowed you or something. How do you fall asleep in a movie like this?
Because it's boring.
You missed the backstory.
It's boring because you're asleep.
I just got it. Well, I mean, we're like, how far are we into the movie? And
halfway.
They've barely even touched on the main conflict, but they're about to get to it. We're at the scene where they get to it. We basically get the guy's motivations, and they don't make sense. So let's jump into that.
Well, okay. So him and Shuri have a conversation. I don't remember all the details of it. Well, we find out that vibranium is kind of built into their city, so that's why he's so on edge about them having a vibranium like tracker, because that's going to lead the surface world into their city. So he's like almost he wants, I think, Wakanda's help to basically keep the surface world at bay, or possibly even team up with them and take over the surface world.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
that's what it
basically,
was.
he says you're either going to be our ally or our enemy,
Right.
which doesn't make any fucking sense because you're already going to fight the world. Why are you going to add an enemy as like the most powerful nation on Earth?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, why fight the most powerful people when the enemies that you're worried about aren't them? Like,
Yeah, I know. Let's split our forces and fight on two fronts. That's always a good military strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's stupid.
I get like diplomatically trying to get Wakanda on your side because hey, you have your vibranium, we have vibranium, we should work together. But it's
Yeah, his methods are not bright.
Now, he does seem to think that his nation is powerful enough to take over Wakanda if they have to. So maybe his thought is like, we want to work with you, but if you won't, we'll take over you, we'll take your vibranium, which will give us the upper hand in taking over the rest of the surface world.
I can see that.
But I don't know. I kind of think he has enough power to just defeat anyone else anyway.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I don't get it.
at the beginning when I saw his soldiers were pretty much bulletproof, I was like, yeah, he's won. Like
He owns the seas at least,
Yeah.
They do talk about, don't they? Is there a dialogue somewhere like he's like, we don't want to have to move again? Like, I don't know what the history of his people.
Oh well, because the Spanish made them move the first time.
That's
from their
true.
land, and then
That will give him some motivation because he's like, I come from a people that were conquered and like they forced us out of our home. And so now
I can understand him being paranoid and stuff, but it's just like, I don't know.
like the strategy
Strategically, I don't think
so you can argue that he's not making smart choices, but maybe that is informed
emotional
somewhat.
choices.
Yeah, by his
I am
emotions.
not a smart man. Yeah, okay. But anyway, that's basically what he says.
Right. There was a brief moment before the conversation went that way where it actually looked like him and Shuri were kind of getting along almost for
Yeah,
a
it
second.
seemed like they were on the same page.
And he even gives her a bracelet, which kind of comes into play later in what I think is kind of a weird way.
I could see how he was trying to make he was trying to forge an alliance. It almost seemed like he was trying to court Shuri there. Yeah.
It did kind of seem that way, didn't it? So now there's a scene where Ramonda goes like to she's on a beach and Namor shows up. Now I may have missed another scene, but what like let him know that like she was there and ready to talk?
Well, didn't they tip him off as like a decoy because they got him away from the city so that she could infiltrate and try to get the other two people out?
Well, okay.
Well, the queen's on the beach and like maybe she blew the conch when did
Yeah, I would think she blew the conch. I didn't see it.
Oh, that could be like, okay. Now Nakia, we did leave out a scene where Nakia basically was able to track one of Shuri's earrings to the underwater cave. And so she has like this kind of like special like little thing that can both fly and go underwater and like help propel her underwater. And she talks to Ramonda. So yeah, I guess I don't think they show up, but I think you're right. She must have blew the magical conch or something. So Namor shows up and they have a conversation, and Namor basically kind of tells her the same thing, like you're going to work with us or we're going to kill you, or and because Ramonda does threaten to like tell the world of their existence. Which really, like, I know they took down that drone, but are you telling me, like, no camera in that city caught them when they were, like, fighting on that bridge?
Or riding the giant humpback whale or whatever.
Yeah.
It just seems like and even, like, when Nakia's tracking them down, like, she runs into this old lady that had a interaction with one of them on a beach, which is how she found the... And so it's like, well, if that old lady like had an interaction with one of them, certainly other people throughout the world have had interactions where they've seen some of these people.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they seem to be localized to that one part of Mexico, I guess. So maybe they're really secluded. They don't go anywhere. They just stay in a little area.
And also, like, okay, they want to remain a secret or whatever. But what if the world did know about them and they're like, okay, FYI, I know you want this vibranium down here, but like, we control the oceans. Like, there's a shit ton of us, and like, if you fuck with us, like, we control all the water in the. You know, I don't think like, you know. Just like how the U.S. and everybody doesn't want to really fuck with Wakanda, I don't think they're going to want to fuck with the undersea Wakanda.
Yeah, I mean, he said that there were as many soldiers as there are blades of grass in Wakanda. And if that's true, then I certainly don't think anybody would want to mess with him.
Yeah, if he's telling the truth about that.
Yeah.
Like...
it's a superpower.
They're a superpower, yeah. So yeah, basically what happens is while him and Ramonda are talking, Nakia infiltrates the cave, and she kills one of the people, and then one of the guards, and another female guard takes Shuri captive, and she ends up shooting her too. And you could tell like Shuri didn't like that, like she murdered these women, and even tried to like save the one. So I thought that like added maybe a little bit of depth, you know, and at least shows that like, you know, maybe Nakia's tactics are a bit extreme, you know.
It also showed that like Shuri does empathize with these people.
Yeah,
you know, like there is a soft spot,
right. So yeah, Nakia rescues her, and Riri takes them to the surface. So now Namor finds the dead guard, and now he's pissed. And so now there's this scene where he kind of has a speech to his people and says, like, rise or whatever, like, we're going to fuck them up, you know? So, God, I feel like I probably am, like, papering over some stuff. But basically, we go back to Wakanda, and I think there's a scene or two here, but basically, eventually, like, Namor and his people are going to launch an attack. There was one moment here with, like, M'Baku and, like, 3 other of his tribe, and I swear this must have been, like, a green screen or something. It looked weird. Like, the background behind him looked, like, really flat at one point.
There were a couple of times where I thought things didn't look great.
Yeah, there was... The action was definitely uneven. I thought some of it looked pretty good, and other parts looked a little bit CGI weird or something. Yeah. But yeah, there's this... they launch an attack, and there's a scene where that M'Baku guy like goes to hit Namor, and like Namor like crushes his, like breaks his staff, and then like punches his chest piece and like busts it open in slow motion. And so like we know immediately like he's like, you know, super strong or whatever. I think Shuri gets in like a one of their flying crafts or whatever, and tries to take him out. And they're basically also like flooding this Wakanda, flooding the city. And basically Okoye and Nakia like are on like they try to rescue the citizens, and kind of same with M'Baku. But eventually Namor goes to the palace, and where Ramonda and Riri are. Ramonda's trying to protect Riri, but then he uses some of his water grenades, and it like blows the hole in the palace glass,
and then fills it with water.
So Ramonda and Riri like fall down in the water, and Riri like passes out. So Ramonda is trying to save her. But once Shuri and I guess Okoye and Nakia, and once they get to the palace, like they find both Ramonda and Riri, like they didn't quite make it to. They made it to the surface, but like they're passed out and their heads are underwater. They take them out and they try to use. I thought this was weird. Those bracelets also act as like a defibrillator,
Right.
which I thought was a little weird. But yeah, they put them both on their chest. Riri is saved, but Ramonda they can't save. So like more death and sadness in this movie. But basically, now this is another questionable decision by Namor. Because he could have probably like forced the issue and like just beat them all here, but he's like, "I'll give you a week to bury your dead, and like make the right choice or whatever. But otherwise, we're gonna kill you."
Because basically, they needed time to make like the princess, the queen, and the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So like, we need some time.
I mean, I guess like to your point earlier, like maybe Namor's still thinking like we need some proxies to fight this fight for us rather than us showing ourselves.
Right. I think you're right. Like he's hanging on to that like kind of desperately, I guess. But yeah, logically, you could say that he probably should have just like tried to defeat him here.
Yeah.
But
He had the upper hand.
yeah. So yeah, now another funeral, Ramonda's funeral. They had the kind of the same ceremony or whatever. There is a scene between M'Baku and her here where like he says like T'Challa like wanted him to look after her, and we can tell she's like really kind of angry at the world or whatever. So yeah, we kind of get a scene of them preparing. So like. They did set this up earlier in the movie where she's building this like blue suit that can supposedly like,
Harness the power, make them stronger.
and like has flight capabilities and stuff like that. So we find out she's going to give that suit to Okoye, and Okoye also asks like, how many of these do you have? Or apparently she has one more that she's going to give to that I don't think we talked about it. There's this other woman named Annika.
Oh yeah.
She uses like these vibranium daggers to kind of sets her apart. Riri, she builds a better suit. We don't get the full glimpse of it here, but we see her like painting parts of it red and whatnot. And then Shuri. Now this is a part that I'm like, I don't know if this makes sense, but she takes the bracelet that Namor gave her because she's like, this grew in like vibranium-rich soil, so she gets the idea that she can scan that and somehow use that to fashion a new heart-shaped plant, Black Panther plant. Did you guys kind of understand
I didn't understand any of it.
I think the bracelet was made out of part of the plant. I thought it was made out of part of the plant.
I mean, I guess that must be what they're saying. But
the strings were made of the plant.
Oh, is that what it was?
I
The
think, yeah.
strings of the bracelet. Okay, that. I was just like, how is this like hardened like piece of like jewelry or whatever you're supposed to give them that? Okay, so it was made. Okay, I can buy that, I guess. So she scans that. Eventually, they should like explain, because these plants are kind of mystical and they're apparently like linked. It makes you wonder like, are there other plants that they're eventually going to use? I don't know. But anyway, this works. She's able to scan that and recreate the Black Panther heart-shaped plant. And so then she gathers her and Nakia and Riri, and like she's gonna take Shuri is gonna take drink the potion from the plants or whatever. Did you guys think for a second that maybe she was gonna give it to Nakia?
I thought maybe M'Baku or somebody, like a big, tough, like at least a warrior, somebody who knows how to fight.
Well, from the trailers, like I was pretty sure like it looked like a woman, and I kind of figured like Shuri would make the most sense, but at the last minute I was like, well, maybe they'll go with Nakia. You know, she would work as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, there was leftover potion, and somebody offered to drink it, but apparently that didn't happen.
Well,
Yeah, I would have taken that for sure.
You're like, oh, because after she took it, she like punched a mannequin through the wall or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's another theory I kind of had from watching
Like,
the
let's
trailers.
all take this.
That's another theory I kind of had from watching the trailers is like, what if it's a misdirect and really like a couple of people take it and there's like we are all Black Panther
Like Thor, Love and Thunder.
like what if like Shuri, Nakia, and M'Baku took it and they're like, well, we got 3 of Black Panthers now.
a whole bunch of Black Panthers.
But no, Shuri takes it and like she goes to the ancestral plane where like she thinks like, well, maybe she'll see her mother or whatever. But no, she ends up seeing Killmonger from the first movie. And
I kind of understood why. Like, I thought if anybody, it should be T'Challa. She should see. Obviously, she can't.
But yeah.
So I think it made sense that it was like a character from the first movie. Yeah, I definitely think her mom should have been the one, but I see why they brought him back.
Well, they kind of wanted to sow this thing in her character, kind of a doubt in her character of like, and he basically says, are you going to be noble like your brother? Or are you going to actually do, kind of what it takes? Yeah. Are you going to get your hands dirty and do what it takes to protect Wakanda?
Yeah. And he lays it out. Like, he's like, your ancestors were this, your father, he would have done it. He would have given up the girl, this and that. He like lays out like all the scenarios.
I never felt like she was conflicted.
Really? The whole movie, I thought
they tried to set it up, but like I never felt it. The only way I would have felt it is like in the end if she went to the dark side.
I thought about that. What if they did that? It would have been a ballsy move. I don't think it's a move I would have liked them to do. But it would have been interesting if she did like.
Yeah, I was like, if she goes dark, then they're going to have to make a part 2 to this whole thing.
But, if she went dark, wouldn't that kind of be an FU to his memory?
Yeah, they put a lot of effort into that, and, they did pretty classy.
Yeah.
So I never thought she was going to go to the dark side, but I thought they did at least set up that she was conflicted. So I didn't mind that.
Yeah, she explained the conflict in her mind pretty well too. Like when she has a talk with Killmonger, she's like, "It's your fault he's dead. You destroyed the herb." You start understanding the reasonings about why she's blaming everybody else for her brother's death and what's going on there.
So she comes back. And Nakia's asking, like, who'd you see? And, like, you can tell, like, she's upset that it was him that she saw. But she, like, punches his suit of armor and it goes flying. So she's like, oh, well, I do have the Black Panther power. And then I think Nakia's like, you're going to need a suit. So we get a thing of her, like, picking out her new, like, Black Panther mask.
I think they do a like little glance over of the old Black Panther suit that Chadwick Boseman wore.
Yeah,
because it looked a lot like his face.
Yeah, the first well, it was weird because like it had like the mask that looked like the one he did, and then next to it was like one of the same color, but like a smaller one that
like
could
longer.
Yeah, like you thought would maybe be hers.
Yeah.
But then later she can turn hers on and off like Star-Lord. Right? She just like hits a button and like it disappears.
They did that in the first movie too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she's got her new mask. So they all form this plan where to take the battle away from Wakanda, they like all get on this big ship and they're like, we're gonna draw them to a battle on the ship to keep them out of Wakanda, basically.
Now
I got questions.
Yeah. Because this was fucking stupid too.
This ship, was it made out of vibranium? It looked like it.
Well, they eventually kind of fuck it up, but
yeah. Well, they outfitted it with like some kind of like sonar to like fuck with the people like
under the water,
equilibrium or whatever
all
the
the
fuck
animals
it did.
under the sea.
Right. But I mean, this guy's like, I'm going to come back in a week and fight you on your own territory. Why are you like, I'm going to go out here in the ocean where he has a huge fucking advantage? This is a genius move.
Yeah,
maybe they're concerned about protecting their citizens.
I guess.
I mean, for sure, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. If they have as many people as they have blades of grass, I would not walk into their.
Yeah, it's a very questionable decision. Now, one thing I papered over, you kind of referenced it earlier, though, is her and Riri determine, and I forget exactly how they do it, but they determine that Namor's power is somewhat derived from water, so that if they dehydrate him, it's going to basically take his power away.
Yeah, because they figure out, he doesn't have the mass, so they figure he must breathe through his skin through some sort of like osmosis or I don't know what the fuck.
So is that what the other people's masks are doing? It's like keeping them hydrated with water?
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that must be it. So they like can't be out of water for too long or something, or they have to have those devices to like keep the water going through their system or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it makes you wonder what they did like 700 years ago before plastic was invented. But anyway.
Now, you guys, do you think? I mean, their plan basically hinges on that, right? Them taking him down. So do you think maybe the whole, like, them fighting on the boat is like, they know there's a good chance they might die, but they just need the distraction to get him?
I mean, maybe they think they've got a decent shot. They at least have, like, the power of surprise on their side, right?
Right.
Like, nobody's going to be dumb enough to do this.
Yeah, so basically what they do to get Namor's attention is they drop that vibranium detector in the sea again. And so they're like, it's detected, and so he's like, where? So they go to it, and right when they get to it, yeah, they have this like sonic noise that comes on. That's like, I guess on mounted to the bottom of their ship or whatever, and that's fucking with them. And so then they call in more reinforcements and start like climbing up the ship. And we kind of get a scene from the trailer again where like the Dora Milaje are they're on ropes that are held by M'Baku's tribe, and they're like scaling down the side of the ship and fighting. Shuri, we get the first taste of her is Black Panther, where she kind of scales the side too and starts like ripping up a few of these people. God, I kind of forget it. Also, like Riri, we see her Ironheart suit, and she's got like a gun. Namor comes up. He's flying on his on his wings, and he tears through a couple of their aerial ships, smaller ones. Doesn't Riri like eventually like shoot her gun at him or something?
Probably.
I forget exactly what leads to them being able to capture him.
Like somehow they're on a ship, right? Oh. Somehow he gets on their ship.
Yeah, they get him on I think they like lure him onto a ship or something, and like inside that ship are like heaters and dehydrating tools.
Yeah, I just forget exactly how they got him on the ship.
He's like, my moisture.
It's like, it's sweating in here, man. God, what's going on?
But yeah, once they get him on that ship, Shuri also gets in there, and they start flying towards the desert because the whole idea is to dry him out. And then basically everybody else is left fighting on the ship. Like a couple whales bring in even more people. And there's a woman of his tribe that I think he calls Namora, which I don't know if that's like... because I think she's a character from the comics too. I don't know if she was like his daughter or like a love interest. I don't know. Maybe his daughter. They never say if she's related to him in this movie. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, she takes the sonic device off of the bottom of the ship. And eventually she also like places a bomb that blows that sonic thing up. Don't the bad guys try to for a minute, don't they use that like siren call again? Oh no, that was in the battle before the week earlier. Yeah. They used that, and then like they threw a bomb in the water that stopped it or something.
Yeah. They did drag this like net with like a bunch of water bombs.
Water grenades
under the ship.
But before that though, like the Wakandans were kind of like winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it looked like they pretty much turned the tide, and then like they're like, oh yeah, let's bring in the big guns, and then like the two flying suits coming out. I'm like, are these guys batting cleanup? Why weren't they fighting the whole fucking time?
That's true. You bring in your big hitters first, man.
Yeah. But then, like with the water bombs and everything, it starts turning the tide the other way again.
Because that is about where Okoye and Annika come in with the blue suits, right?
Yeah.
The Midnight Angels or whatever they call them.
Yeah, I thought those suits should have been black, man. I don't know why they were blue.
In the comics, they're blue, but they could have made them whatever. Yeah. You know, I will say about the action, anytime that it was like, you know, spear versus spear type action in this movie, I thought it was kind of cut in a way where it never looked very good. It was kind of always like close cuts that didn't last very long. And sometimes it just like looked like people swinging wildly and didn't, I don't know, it's like it wasn't choreographed all that well or something. It just kind of looked.
Well, I mean, like all the time in all this fighting, all the choreography, they're also dancing around like, oh, nobody dies on film.
Yeah, there was no blood. That was the one thing. Like where there's a point later on where Shuri gets stabbed.
Yeah, that is one thing about these MCU movies is they try to keep them kid friendly for the most part,
and you like you said, like after the fights there's no like dead bodies laying around, like they magically get cleaned up.
Because I mean, I think even with a PG-13 rating you can have some blood. There's probably limits on it, like it can't be like super gory or something, but yeah, I think you're right. I think he could have done with seeing people get hurt a little bit, you know. Definitely some people died, so
yeah, definitely somebody died,
but you never really see it. But yeah, basically we go back, well, on the ship. So like Namor discovers, he's being like, they're dehydrated or whatever, but he has a vibranium spear, which of course cuts through metal like butter. So he starts like stabbing the ship, and the AI is like, yeah, he's gonna like, the ship's about to explode because he's punching a hole in the bottom of it. I'm like, I don't know. It seems like, she didn't have to shut off the force field quite as quickly as she did.
Yeah, she shut down the field or whatever and got out to fight him hand to hand. But yeah, that didn't happen when old girl shoved it through that bottom of that Charger or whatever in the fuck car that was. Boom! A million fucking pieces.
But basically, they end up crashing. They don't quite go out into the desert. They're still kind of close to the shore.
Yeah.
They start fighting. And, like, at one point, she rips off one of his feet wings.
Yeah. So now, at that point, I was like, it's biological.
Well, I already figured that. But a part of me is like, well, is that going to grow back? Or is he always going to be like an awkward flying now because he's only got, like, one?
Got to learn to fly with one leg.
He's just going left the whole time.
But yeah, they fight, and like you said, eventually he gets the upper hand and actually stabs a spear like all the way through her guts, and of course, like no blood at all. And then he starts like slowly like crawling back to the ocean because he needs, you know, water. So at this point, like she cuts off the end of the spear, gets loose, goes over to him, and then she like I guess sets the ship to explode, which the explosion kind of...
Did it explode, or she just like kicked on like the thruster or something?
I think she exploded it, yeah. Which seems like it could have potentially hurt her, but...
Well, she like exploded it and like it blew all over his back, and then she like, oh, I better put my mask up. I was like, maybe you should have done that before you...
right.
Before you push the button.
Last second.
But yeah, basically the flames like... take away the rest of his moisture, I guess. And he's prone, so she like puts the spear to his neck. But it's at this point, she does have a vision of her mother, and I forget exactly what her mother says in that vision. But it basically sets her to the path where like she's not going to kill him. She's going to say that they need to compromise, basically. Do you guys remember? Maybe it was at this point. There's a point where I'm like, I don't know if it was necessary, but they kind of replay the whole movie, like scenes from the whole, like a montage of scenes from the whole movie.
Yeah, I think it might have been here.
Which I thought was a bit of a weird choice.
Oh,
but
yeah, they re-show... Did they re-show Killmonger talking to her, too?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
They do that and like a bunch of other stuff, too, from the earlier in the movie. But yeah, basically they come to a peace treaty. So we go back to the people fighting on the ship, but then they arrive, they announce like they're simpatico or whatever, and the battle is over.
I don't know if they were trying to do this. I feel like they were. I just think they could have made it like they could have tied it together a little bit more. But I think it was a callback to her mom, like at the beginning of the movie, where she shows strength, but like to the Americans and the French. But then it says, this is a peace offering. What I'm doing with these soldiers, giving them back to you, and you attacked us, but this will be our peace offering. And like this is kind of like what Shuri does with Namor. Like she's like, you attacked us, but I'm letting you go here. This is our peace offering, sort of.
Okay.
I'd like to see it come back and bite her in the ass.
Yeah, it could.
He seems unstable.
I mean, where do you think they go with Namor after this movie?
Forget he exists and do something else.
I kind of think they'll... No, I don't think this is the last time we see Namor.
No, he'll come back. Something's going to happen, some sort of event in the world or something. And
Probably they'll end up teaming together to defeat something else.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe.
This can only be resolved by fighting in water.
We need somebody who can swim really fast.
We did leave out one scene, which was after she became Black Panther and got her suit. She did have a scene where they went to M'Baku's tribe and kind of, and her and M'Baku had a scene where M'Baku was trying to like kind of talk some sense into her and trying to get her to maybe not kill Namor, but at that point she seemed dead set on it,
Yeah. And she even got to the point where she told him, "You're gonna fight, tomorrow."
Right. So I'm trying to think what'll happen in kind of the wrap up. It seems, I know what happens at the very end of the movie. But like what happened like right after they win this fight? I'm trying to think.
I don't remember anything substantial.
Yeah, I think everybody just has.
There's another scene with Dreyfus and old boy.
She tries to arrest her.
Oh yeah, there was a scene. We probably paved over that at some point, but yeah, we find out that she knew he took those beads, and she had placed a bug on him, so she planned the whole thing, and she had been listening in, and she basically said his phone call between him and the Queen was treasonous, so he got arrested. And like she talks about how like she dreams of a world where the U.S. has all the vibranium.
Yeah, she's like kind of evil,
right? I think she's going to be one of the people in charge of the Thunderbolts. I mean, that could be an interesting thing if like she tasked them with like trying to infiltrate Wakanda or something.
Yeah, get weapons of mass destruction or whatever, like
right.
Build up her power and stuff.
So then there's a scene at the very end where he's in chains and he's rescued by Okoye. And she's like, a colonizer in chains now. I've seen everything or whatever.
First of all, why does Okoye need him now? He's lost his position as a government, he can't help you as a leader now. He's got no value.
I think more or less he was an ally, so they wanted to to save him rather than have him rot away in chains.
Oh, that's nice of them.
And he did, he didn't do much in this movie, but he did at least try to help them. Yeah. You figure he's got some knowledge that maybe could help him in the future.
I will see him again, I'm sure. I just wonder what role he's going to play.
I feel like I'm definitely leaving something out, but basically the end of the movie is
Riri Williams. She talks to Shuri. And
that's right, that scene. So yeah, Shuri pulled her broken car back out of the ocean and basically repaired it back to new, and she told her that the Ironheart suit has to stay in Wakanda. Now, why is that? Did she let her incorporate vibranium into that suit? Or, why does she care?
I just figure it's like the U.S. government would be like, hey, you sent us a person with a weapon like this? Like, why are you... you're taking our citizen, providing them with weaponry and sending them back. Like, that's not okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm like, if it doesn't have vibranium, you should just, give it to her. I don't know. But basically... Nakia invites Shuri to go to Haiti, and there she basically decides to complete that ritual that her mother did, where she burns the white funeral clothing, and basically we get this another kind of silent nice montage to Chadwick Boseman, where we see a bunch of her memories through scenes of them together in the first movie, which is nice. And basically the movie fades to black with her on the beach, kind of thinking about him. So then we get a mid-credit scene where it picks back up. She's still on the beach. And Nakia shows up with this little kid, and we find out that her and T'Challa actually had a child. She was pregnant when she left years ago or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Well, I think that's basically what she says, right?
Okay.
What I found weird is that apparently she had the baby, and T'Challa knew, and the mother knew, but they kept it secret from Shuri.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? I didn't really understand why they kept that a secret from her.
I figured they probably just kept. Yeah, I figured they kept it a secret from everybody though. They just didn't want people to know. There's a heir out there in the world somewhere.
Maybe she isn't good at keeping secrets. I'm the best secret keeper.
But I thought it was touching that they gave him a kid, and in a way he lives on.
It makes me wonder. 20 years from now, are we gonna be watching this kid? Or are we gonna see?
Maybe, God, the MCU could go on that long. You never know.
Yeah, how they're gonna write in the new heart-shaped herb for the kid to take. It's interesting.
Well, we do see that's another scene. Is now they have a garden full of those herbs again.
I didn't see that. Oh my gosh, I missed that.
It was in there. Yeah, they one of those wrap-up scenes. We see Shuri has a new garden full of those plants.
Nice.
So yeah, I was not bored by the film. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fairly well written, and kind of even the criticisms we had about some of the this doesn't make sense. We at least came up with okay, there's somewhat of at least an explanation for everything we came up against. So I think overall, I think it was pretty solidly written. I think it was a good tribute to Chadwick Boseman. I thought, as far as the acting, I thought Angela Bassett really stood out. I thought she was great. Do you guys have any final thoughts or things we missed before we get into scoring this movie?
No, just I like it. I think it was a good movie, and I'm happy to see where it goes from here. I'm in.
That's a question. Like, where do you think it goes in the future? Do you have any guesses?
I mean, on Namor, I really think like you have a good point. Like, they could be like a team up in the future.
Yeah, because I don't. I don't think they're just gonna make him
like a bad guy.
Yeah. Oh, there was a scene, wrap up scene with him and that Namora girl where like, I think she was basically like mad at him for
bending the knee to Wakanda.
Bending the knee. But then he said it was actually kind of strategic or whatever. You know, he kind of.
If I didn't, she was going to kill me like a little bitch.
Well, I mean, that is strategic. Like, he is the protector of that land. He kind of has to live. But at the same time, like, he was also explaining that Shuri, like, he can sense that she has empathy for their people now. Like, Wakanda is kind of on their side, he feels like.
And he was like, he's apparently an artist who was like painting a mural of like one of their gods and like maybe Bast or like his mural was like of a panther and like one of their people or whatever, you know.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Final round. I'm interested to see this. What would you guys score this movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
It did have like moments where I felt like there's a lot of talking, not enough action. That might just be my dumb caveman brain.
No, I think that's a legit criticism. There are some points like that, but to me, I would almost prefer that because there's some movies where it's like too much action, and you're never, when the action's going on, you're not involved with the characters, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And with this movie, you are, and you care about them, or at least I did.
I think just because of that, it knocks it down a little bit, but I'd give it like a solid 7.8.
All right.
6.
Wow. I'm actually going higher. I'm going to go like 8.4. I thought this was a really solid entry in the MCU. I liked it a lot. I thought it was well written. I thought it was pretty well directed. You know, the only things I found a little hinky was a few of the action scenes, like we were talking about. A few times the action looked a little bit weird. Yeah. But most everything else I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So how much of this movie do you think you slept through? How much of the things we said were you like, I don't recall?
Pretty much the sequence where you were talking about the bad guy's backstory. Like, I was like, I don't remember that.
See, that would have gave you a little more context for him, I think, and maybe...
Yeah, it made him more like...
Gave him more depth, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, I recommend everybody seeing Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Especially if you can't sleep.
God. Can't believe you slept through part of this movie, man. Guys, you got anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I'm done and done.
Yeah, I can't really think of it.
I had to sit through it 2 times. Ugh.
Wait, what are you talking about? You had to sit there 2 times?
I had to sit through it, then we had to sit here and talk about it for 2 hours.
Time well spent. Yeah. Well, guys, please let us know in the comments what you thought of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Did you sleep through it? Or did you enjoy it like me and AJ?
And just wait till we make him watch Ant-Man and Quantumania.
Oh, yeah, we did get a trailer for that.
Looked good, too.
I'm very not interested.
I bet you that one won't be 2.5 hours long. Yeah, I could be wrong, though. Well, guys, we thank you very, very much for listening. Please, if you will, subscribe to the YouTube channel and in audio form on your podcast service of choice. Leave us those comments, thumbs up, positive reviews, all that good stuff. And then if you're still in the weird Elon Musk owned Twitter badlands, come over and visit us. Guys, where can people find you on Twitter?
At a name for this too, and that's the number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.